Welcome back, and you're watching Morning Line. We were talking about Megan Barry and what happened yesterday after she resigned and pled guilty to the theft charge. We have council members Jim Shulman and Bob Mendes to my left to talk about this. Why do you think she took that plea and not fight it, go through the indictment, go through the trial?
Well, in my legal background, I've got a little bit of criminal defense, and usually it's one of two things. One is it's a compromise, and compared to what you might be convicted of, it's better. And the other is sometimes people want it to be over, either for themselves or their families or those around them. So, I'm guessing it's probably a combination of the two things, something of a compromise, something of getting it in the rearview mirror.
And I know Phil Williams will be here later. Yeah. He has more of a background information on that.
I was going to say, in my legal career, I handled one case, so I agree with whatever Bob said.
All right, well, let's get to the lines. Hey, Cindy, good morning. What's your question?
Yes, sir. I'm just really appalled at what happened. But what I want to really know, and I'm asking a question. If it would have been me, I would have been in prison. And since it's her, she gets to escape for 3 years, and so does that cop. And he still gets his job and carrying a gun. I don't think that's right. I think they're thieves. And it's a disgrace, especially for the state of Tennessee, not only Nashville. But I really think y'all should investigate further, and she should have to do some jail time. Thank you.
So, and I understand Cindy's concern. There is a continuing investigation going on. Now, I think this is it for the sentence, and I don't think there's going to be anything else regarding that. And I understand Cindy's concern. But there is an investigation going on, including the council investigation.
Right. And, people their age who've got no criminal record, probably anybody would have gotten a similar plea bargain. The council is going to continue to investigate. We need to be able to...
This is the Special Investigative Committee.
Right, the Special Committee of the council. We need to be able to answer the question for Cindy and everybody else about exactly how did this happen and how are we going to be sure that it doesn't happen again. I mean, this is hopefully a relatively unique situation, but it happened under, for 2 years without people realizing that the money was being spent apparently inappropriately, and we need to get to the bottom of how it happened and making sure it doesn't happen again.
And I think the vice mayor, who became the mayor yesterday, said that in his remarks. I think he's going to look at this. I think the council continues to look at it, and I think what he wanted to do was bring back kind of that trusting aspect of government. And so I don't think it's over. I know Cindy's concerned about this particular thing, but I think we still have a ways to go, and we've got some cleanup obviously to do.
Bob, as of last night, this committee, so it was determined it will continue.
Right.
And in order to, what was the main reason? Because I know there were some council members who felt that, it should end.
Yeah, I mean, for as many people like Cindy who want to know more, there are also people who feel like the city's got important business, let's move on, let's talk about the future, not the past. And frankly, we need to strike a balance. The decision to keep the committee going really is about the question of, it's not about beating up on anybody. We want to know what happened, the mechanism of the theft that people pled guilty to yesterday, and how do we know it's not going to happen again? And that's really the direction of the council's investigation.
And what is the status of the law firm? I know you guys were looking into outside help.
So we decided last night to recommend hiring an outside lawyer, but given the fact that there's been a resignation now, to slow down that process and let the TBI and the state comptroller and the district attorney get done with their investigations first. And so we limited the amount of time the law firm could spend to 15 hours. Before they go above that, they got to come back to the special committee and the council.
All right, let's go back to the lines. Brian, good morning. What's your question?
Yeah, good morning, guys. First off, I'd like to congratulate y'all for the fine job y'all do and the job Channel 5 did, especially Phil Williams. And my question is, I keep talking about she's on probation. There's got to be some stipulations in her probation. Could y'all explain what her stipulations is? She got to be drug tested? She got to go through the stuff that the regular citizen has to go through? And I'll turn it off and sit back and listen. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Brian, good question, and that is something that we'll definitely ask Phil whenever he gets here. As far as the news is what was released from the DA's office, all really what was said is just the probation. Same thing for Forrest as well.
Yeah, I think they said that it was unsupervised probation, right. And so she won't have to do the things that the caller mentioned, like drug testing, and I'm sure Phil can talk about it more, but I think that for somebody who is the age that they are, with no criminal record and otherwise respectable background, I don't think this is uncommon.
Right, and part of the plea is that conditional plea.
Right.
Let's go back. Hey, Gail, thank you for calling. What's your question? Hey, Gail, good morning. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Hi there. What's your question?
Yes, I'd like to know, in my opinion, the police department, the police chief is not totally innocent in this. Is it regular procedure for any time a government official or a metro official decides they want a 24-hour-a-day police escort, that they just get off the clock and they just have their own time card and go on their merry way and report back whenever they feel like it?
Mm-hmm.
I think Gail is asking the questions, part of what the council committee is looking at, part of what came up last week in terms of what Phil Williams was talking about, and that is what are the policies of the police, and this whole notion of security. You know, I know the police said the mayor is always the mayor, but all these things have now raised these questions about when is a mayor actually doing official government work on an official government trip? When are they not? So, I mean, Gail is exactly right. This is one of those things that I think the council needs to look at. I understand that our new mayor is going to look at it. We've got to go back and make sure this is right.
And speaking of the chief, he sent a statement yesterday regarding Forrest. Pretty harsh. He used the words betrayed twice, saying that this has caused a sentiment of disdain among the police department. So he is responding just as far as he broke the trust of the administration, whom Forrest has been part of the mayoral security staff for 14 years, been with the Metro Police Department for more than 31 years. So I know Barry, during the exclusive interview with Phil Williams, mentioned as far as the chief allowing the security detail to go with her, since her schedule was a lot busier compared to Carl Dean. So hopefully when he comes back here, we can add more to that. Hey, Linda, thank you for calling. What's your question?
First, I'd like to congratulate y'all for such a good job.
Thank you.
Second, I have to agree with Cindy on what she said earlier. This is not your normal case. I understand that. I have dealings with lots of cases. My point is, this lady and her bodyguard stole over $10,000. If a normal person, even in higher ranks, go to the penitentiary for this. This lady got a slap on the wrist. He got a slap on the wrist. They don't even have to be drug tested. Just pay your money and go on your merry way. I think this system sucks. And in most cases, this would not be happening. She would be in jail, and so would he. These are major felonies. These are not just little, you go out here and steal $500 or $600. This is over $10,000. Can you explain to me how y'all's justice system can sit up there, slap them on the hands, and put them back on the street like they done nothing?
Yeah, I know, Linda, this is a lot of questions. Same thing. I mean, she admitted to the Class C felony, and if we think about it from an insider source, this was part of a plea deal that was going back and forth between the DA's office and Barry's team.
Yeah, I mean, the anger, the being upset that we hear from Linda and Cindy. I mean, Jim and I have been hearing this since the story broke, 5-6 weeks ago. It's a big deal. I mean, a lot of people in this county that if they pled guilty to a Class C felony, most everybody would spend time in jail. It is a big deal. We can't control what the district attorney does. Right. What we can control is, I don't think there's any appetite, I know certainly from Jim and I, to sweep it under the rug. People want to know whether other folks in the administration or the police department knew. People want to know how we're going to make sure that this doesn't happen again, and how it happened in the first place. And that the intensity of the feelings that we're hearing from callers is something that I know at least the two of us are taking very seriously. It's our job representing the whole county to get to the bottom of how this happened with another elected official who represented the whole county.
Again, thank you for the calls. I know a lot of you are still waiting on the line, and we'll get to you as soon as possible. More of Morning Line after the break.